Today we're going to talk about sampling techniques and misuses of statistics. You're going to fill in the definitions. This is going to be pretty much fill in the definitions, and then what you're going to be asked to do out of this section is to determine what type of sampling there is. So you're going to definitely want to know your definitions, the different pieces. You might want to have to pause it to copy the definition down. If I'm saying it too fast, etc. So just remember, at any time you can pause it, rewind it, and watch it again. So the pure definition of statistics is that it is both an art and a science of gathering, analyzing, and making inferences. Inferences are predictions from data, which is the numerical information, in an experiment. So again, statistics is a science, but it's also an art because you have to design the experiment. You have to decide what criteria you're going to use on an experiment. So I'm just going to say it again, art and science of gathering, analyzing, and making inferences, which are predictions, from data, which is your numerical information, in an experiment. We're going to have two types of statistics. We mostly in this course are going to deal with what's called descriptive statistics. We're going to do a little bit of inferential, but if you were to take another statistics class, you'll go much more in depth in the inferential statistics. So the descriptive statistics is where we actually collect the data, we organize the data, and we analyze the data. So collection, organization, and analysis of the data. Inferential statistics is where we actually then look at that descriptive statistics that we collected, and we're going to then make predictions and generalizations from data. So that's where we're going to actually say, based on the data, we feel that we should move forward or not. Those are the types of ideas for the inferential statistics. Most of inferential would be in a later statistics class, but we will do a little bit of that. So now we're going to get into what actually this section is about, sampling. So let's define again what we mean by sampling, what we're going to, terminology we're going to use in this actual section. So we have three definitions under this, just generalization for sampling. So we have a population, and notice the word there, it's the total group being studied. So if we're talking about a whole state, it would be the whole state of Florida, but it's not reasonable to sample and get information from every single person. So the population is the total group studied. The sample is the subset, and remember a subset is included in the population, but it can be smaller than or equal to. Usually the sample is going to be smaller. So a subset of a population used to make judgments about the population. A subset of a population used to make judgments about the population. There will always be a probability of error when you're doing a sample because you're not getting every single piece of information in when you're doing it. So number 3, our goal is always to get what's called an unbiased sample. This is where we sample that is a small replica of the population in all relevant factors. Unbiased means we will have a sample that is a small replica of population in all relevant factors. So some examples, and it depends on what you're studying. So it could be income, it could be education, it could be age, it could be gender. It depends on what you're studying, but you want to make sure that you actually get a good grouping of what you're trying to study. So next we're going to go to the types of sampling. And there's going to be 5 different types of sampling. Those 5 types, you're going to need to know the names and how do I distinguish between each type. So the first one is our best sample. It's called random sampling. This is where we take each item in a population and it has an equally likely chance of being selected. So this means that every single person or object in the population has the same chance of being selected. One way to do this is what you could call a random number generator. So computers would do a random number generator. Calculators actually will give you random number generators as long as you give them criteria. There's actually charts that are published that would give you a random number generator. And basically what this is doing is it's taking out of your hands how you select it. It's giving you a random number and that's who you sample. Disadvantage on this is that this is the most expensive version. Because we're making every single option equally likely, it costs the most to be able to do this. So realistically, this is what you want to do, but you usually don't use this in its full format because it's so expensive. So just 2 examples listed here, just so you kind of see some examples right off the bat here. If we had 50 marbles in a bag, and they're all the same size, so there's no distinguishing feeling on them, and you reached in, didn't look at anything, and you picked 1 marble. In this case, every marble has the same chance of being selected. Another example, bingo balls are selected from a bin after being thoroughly shaken. Again, as long as the bingo balls are the same shape and size, when you reach in, they each have the same chance of being selected. Our second type of sampling that we're going to look at in this section is called systematic sampling. It's definitely not a random sample. In systematic sampling, you will go and you will pick every nth item of a list is drawn and the first pick is random. So like you say, okay, I'm going to start off with the 12th pick, but after that, I'm going to pick every 10th item. So then you would say 12, 22, 32, 42. So you start off with a random spot, but after that, it's every single 20th item or 100th item, whatever you decide. The disadvantages to this, and the reason why it's definitely not random, is adjacent items cannot be picked. So what I mean by that is if you're starting off with the 12th item, you're not going to pick the 13th item. So you're never going to be able to pick items directly beside each other, which is what adjacent items means. A big concern with this type is you need to be careful of reoccurring characteristics. So for example, if you are selecting every 45th shoebox on an assembly line to check for defects, that is systematic because you're picking every 45th. But what if there's only one machine or one person that deals with that rotation of items? You're not getting a good sample of every possibility, and you may be missing a machine that actually has errors involved in it. Our third type of sampling that we're going to talk about in this section is called cluster sampling. And number 3, cluster sampling, and number 4, stratified sampling, you need to be very careful because it's easy to confuse these two. Cluster sampling is going to be random selections of groups of units. That's important. We're going to select groups of units. So usually this is used geographically. So how we would do this is we would divide the population into clusters or groups, then randomly select a few whole clusters or a random sample from select clusters. So notice here, again, we're not taking it from every group. So that's the important difference here. So again, random selections of groups or units, groups of units, usually geographical. how we would do this is we would divide the population into clusters or groups, then randomly select a few whole clusters or a random sample from select clusters. So, side note on this, you are not sampling each group. In this case, you can take some of the groups and then sample a portion of that group, or take the whole group. Okay, so I'll say that again. You're going to take some of the groups, and in that group, you're either going to use that whole group as a sample, or you can take part of it. But we're not sampling every single group. That's an important piece for this cluster sampling. So here's an example. It's a geographical one, which is usually what cluster sampling. Not always, though. So you select city blocks, then either every member of the selected block is used or a random selection from the city blocks are used. So select the city block, which is your groups or your clusters, then every member of a selected group of the blocks or a random sample selection from the city blocks is used. So number 4 is the other one that's easily confused, number 3 and number 4. So stratified also deals with groupings, but there's more information that's used to do these groupings. Population is divided into parts, which kind of is similar to the idea of a group, but we call them a strata when we're talking about stratified sampling. Key here is you're using prior knowledge to divide up the groups. So population is divided into parts using prior knowledge. And then you're taking a sample within each strata randomly. That's the key difference. Stratified, you know something about the population ahead of time, and you're taking a sample from every single group randomly. So in this format, you are breaking it into groups. Prior knowledge, okay, you're sampling every single group. Cluster, you broke it into groups, but you're only taking some of the groups to use as samples. So key here is it requires, so it's going to be a little more expensive, you need to know a little bit more about the population. So an example here would be college students are classified by age. Then random selections are collected from each age. When we do studies at our college, for example, we don't want to use every single person that is just out of high school because that's not reasonable for our student population. So we would want to know, okay, what percentages are in each piece, and then we would sample from each category that we decided was important to sample from. Our last sampling is called convenience sampling. This is the most common one used because it's the easiest one to use. So you gather the data, easily available. It's definitely not random. Okay? It's very convenient. These are your surveys. If you stop and think about your surveys, we definitely use them. We use them a lot because they're easy to do. But we should always know there's some bias involved because usually if we send out a survey or if we ask you to do a survey about the class that you're in, we usually get a lot more of the extremes that will fill it out. The people that really liked it or really didn't like it. We don't really get the whole class. Okay? Somebody usually feels really strongly is going to fill those out and take the time to do it. But that's why it's so important for everybody in a class to fill out those evaluations for the class and to be honest and not use something that they didn't like about the instructor, for example, a personal piece there, but to be honest in what they have and those ideas. Back in the day, at the malls, they used to have a person that did surveys that stood in the food court. So if I saw that person, I would walk wide around to not do it. But some people would actually see her and go directly to her because they knew they were going to get something for free to fill it out. You're not going to get the best sample. You can use some of it. I tend to say you should use this when you're just trying to figure out some basis to start an idea. So we're going to go over some examples next from the book. So what I want you to do is I want you to read over these examples, and I want you to try to answer which one of the sampling techniques it is. Is it random? Is it systematic, cluster, stratified, or convenience? And be careful on the ones that are dealing with grouping, because those are the two that are easy to confuse. So I want you to go ahead and do 1 through 5. I want you to pause it. I want you to read 1 through 5. I'm going to go ahead and answer these. I'm not going to give enough time for you to think about them. So pause it now. Do 1 through 5. We'll talk about those. So number 1, all registered vehicles in the state of Georgia are classified according to type: subcompact, compact, midsize, full-size, SUV, and truck. A random sample vehicles from each category is selected. So this is a grouping, so we know it's either going to be cluster or stratified. The key here is that we are selecting from each group. So this is stratified. Number 2, every 10th iPod coming off of an assembly line. This is systematic. Number 3, a state is divided into counties. A random sample of 12 counties is selected. A random sample from each of them is selected. So we're grouping here, but notice I'm not taking all of the groups. So this is my cluster. Don't fall in the trap. I have said cluster is geographic, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily always. That's just usually something that's used there. Going to number 4, door prizes given away at a home improvement seminar. Tickets are placed in a bin, and the tickets are mixed up. Then a ticket is selected by a blindfolded person. This is my random sampling. And number 5, every 17th person in line at a grocery store is asked his or her age. This is, again, systematic. Sometimes these are going to be really quick for you to do, but you need to be careful and slow down on reading them. So go ahead and read the last 5, 6 through 10. Pause this now, read them, fill it out. Number 6, business in Iowa City are grouped according to type: medical, service, retail, manufacturing, financial, construction, restaurant, hotel, tourism, and other. A random sample of 10 businesses from each type. Again, keyword, each type. So you're pulling from every single group, which is a strata in this piece. This is called a stratified sample. Number 7, the first 25 adults leaving a grocery store are asked how much money they spend per week on entertainment. Again, don't fall into that trap of reading part of this. This is actually a convenience sampling, because I just went to the store and just grabbed the first 25 people. There's not any piece in making this random. This is a specific time of the day, and those types of pieces. 8. The Food and Drug Administration randomly selects 5 stores from each of 4 randomly selected sections of a large city and checks food items for freshness. These stores are used as a representative sample for the entire city. This should be a cluster because we're not sampling every single group. It says randomly selecting 5 stores from each of 4 randomly selected sections. So I'm not sampling in those pieces any further. Number 9, bingo balls in a bin are shaken, and then balls are selected from the bin. This is random. And number 10, student senate at the UNC is electing a new president. The first 25 people leaving, same exact idea as number 7. This is a convenience. There are definitely more types of sampling techniques, but these are the 5 you need to know for this class.